Hello. First of all, an apology. My printer is not working properly, so anything I can't show you by hand, I have put links to in the description box, so you can see for yourselves. This is Pisces and the Welsh double L and the twin pillars. And again, I'm reading for notes from notes. I can't do this on the hoof, so there we are. These days, the zodiacal sign of Pisces is shown by two fish, usually swimming in the opposite directions and sometimes joined in the middle by a cord. The glyph I've got here in Hugh Evans's book, The Origin of the Zodiac, and most people will be familiar with this. There it is. So important was this glyph that Mrs. Smith, the past lives subject in The Cathars and Reincarnation by Arthur Gurdam, remembered it as having been worn as a belt buckle by the Cathars. And in case this sounds as though I've completely lost my marbles, much of what she remembered under hypnosis was subsequently proved to be true. I'm sorry to say I don't know where I found the information. If anybody does know, then I'd be very grateful to hear it. Hugh Evans says in his Origins of the Zodiac under Pisces that the vertical tail helped the gazer fix the spring equinox and the horizontal tail indicated the ecliptic direction. He calls the sign enigmatic and extremely old. His book shows this V-shaped constellation laid out on the ground in Gwynedd, and it's quite different from what we're used to these days. The V shape with the two fish is quite clear. Why one fish is three-sided and the other is five-sided, I don't know. Some old zodiacs show the fish joined tail to tail by this V-shaped cord, exactly like Hugh's constellation, and facing in the same direction, unlike modern days. There's a link for that below, because there's a beautiful, I think it's 17th century illustration of this sign. And there's also an Egyptian frieze at the temple at Dendera in Egypt, showing the fish facing in the same direction with the water in the middle but no cord. Sumerian friezes show fish, and while the Sumerian and after them the Babylonian zodiacs are very different from ours, Sumerian seals show fish and water together. Most people, I'm sure, will know that the fish represents the mind in the psychic realm of water, both salt and fresh. And the psychic realm of mind in the brain is the limbic system. This was well understood in early religions, particularly in Egypt, where the Eye of Horus has been proved to symbolise the limbic system, more than symbolise, it matches. Here is Gray's anatomy of the limbic system. And the pineal gland is in green, number 11 at the back, and the pituitary gland, number 17, is in orange at the front. There is a link below that shows how exactly the limbic system matches the Eye of Horus, and in ancient Egypt, the tale goes, the myth, so-called myth goes, that whoever owned the Eye of Horus had power. It's slightly more complicated than that. Today, control over the human limbic system, particularly the pineal gland, is symbolised by the enormous pine cone found at the Vatican. This is truly huge, and again, it's not a very good picture, my apologies, but it's got some people walking on the terrace below to give you some idea of the size of this thing. It can be found anywhere on the internet, so you get a jolly good idea of how much control the Roman Catholic Church thinks it has over people. The pineal gland, which with the crescent, the star and the crown, is listed in the Princeton Encyclopedia of Classical Sites as pertaining to the deity, in other words, controlled by God. What that says for the Roman Catholic Church today? I wouldn't like to guess. It connects us to the upper or mental realms of what I like to think of as the numinous. And in the vast majority of people, the pineal gland is so calcified by heavy metals and other pollutants in drinking water, fluoride toothpaste, and I'm sorry to say, by lack of sun from overuse of sunscreens, as to be virtually dead, a door locked shut against enlightenment from above. I have to enter a caveat there. Sunscreens, of course, are advisable if one's going to be in the sun all day, but they prevent us not only from absorbing enough sunlight to stimulate melatonin from the pineal gland, but also they prevent us making enough vitamin D, and we can't make it ourselves, and we need vitamin D from sunlight. The new so-called middle-class disease among children is rickets, hideous Victorian scourge, caused by lack of vitamin D, and melatonin is vital for healthy sleep. Sleep disturbance is vastly increasing and is a great worry. The other gland in the limbic system is the pituitary, which is linked to what might be termed the southern hemisphere of the numinous, or the underworld. The pituitary is the abyss. Another title for an Egyptian pharaoh was Lord of the Abyss, indicating that they knew the importance of the pituitary as well as the pineal, and it's symbolised by a crystal ball. There are several well-known pictures of Christ holding what looks like a crystal ball in his left hand. The most beautiful and the plainest is the Da Vinci Salvator Mundi, which I've put a link to below, so you can see for yourself. There are others, but it's causing some controversy at the moment, this picture, because Da Vinci was studying optics at the time that he painted this, and if you look carefully at the crystal ball, it doesn't do a normal distortion of light or refraction. Some people think this was an oversight on Da Vinci's part. I don't think that's likely. It's more credible that it was deliberate on his part to show that Christ is light and is not distorted or refracted, and that the orb is actually hollow. I can't say any more than that about it. Thousands of years ago, religious processions were headed by the ancient equivalent of a crucifer, who carries a sort of stave with a cross on top in church processions. But this fellow held not a Christian cross, but a stalk of fennel girded with a fillet or a ribbon tied in a bow to symbolise the circuit of Earth's energies. This was topped by a pine cone, symbolising the pineal gland, and the stalk of fennel symbolised the spinal cord. It was called the thyrsus, that's Thyrsus, and this is a thyrsus. If we think of the luminously beautiful portrait by Antigone of the newly crowned Elizabeth II, we can see that the symbolism of the orb, or the pituitary gland, and the sceptre, the pineal gland at the top of the spine, up which the Kundalini travels, survives today. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the Pennines, this sounds like a digression, I don't think it is, it sounds like a coincidence that the Pennines are called the spine or the backbone of Britain, and that in the far north of Scotland is a town in Caithness, the province of the cat, called Thurso. It seems to me that that's another example of as above or so below, as above, so below, or should that be as below, so above? I don't know. The two obviously correlate, as Hugh Evans has found. The cord, this V-shaped cord of the fish, was more important in antiquity than it is today, and seems to have been just as important as the fish themselves. The Hebrew name for Pisces was Dagaim, that's D-A-G-I-A-I-M, indicating that they saw the sign as plural, fishes in other words. It was connected with Assyrian Dagon, who was the man fish that we're familiar with from Assyrian Hittite engravings. And Dag, D-A-G, is the reconstructed name for the Proto-Sinaitic hieroglyph for D, which is two fishes. This I've got from Wiki. their proto-Sinaitic entry. It's pretty grim, please blame my printer, but if you look, you can just see Dag, which I've had to write in again, and the two fishes. And I found that English words, especially dialectical words, dialectical English words are very close to Welsh and are fascinating. Our grammar's different from the Welsh, but some of the words are just almost identical. English words containing the syllable dag, such as daggled, which means smeared at the hem with mud, have a connotation of water. James Orchard Halliwell's A Dictionary of Archaic and Provincial Words, here it's in 2 volumes, that's volume 2. Tells us that a dagger, D-A-G-G-A-R, means a swordfish. Dag means to drizzle. Dagly, D-A-G-G-L-Y, means wet or showery. And daglets are icicles, which I think is rather sweet. Feet and legs are the basic form of human transport on land. And Richard Hinckley Allen says that Pisces was predominant in influence with mariners and had charge of the human feet. Modern astrologers still say that Pisces rules the feet. And this reminded me of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. The first 4 to go, they're right at the bottom here, so easy to see. The first, that one, for to go, and the next one for to come back. This is Ross's splendid book, second edition. And I found that both the Phoenician and the archaic alphabets have similar ciphers for D, which looks like that. And they look like derivations from the constellation of Pisces as it appears in the sky, the V with the V-shaped cord. In the Dendera Zodiac in Egypt, the fish resemble the actual constellation, and they look as though they are on a wishbone-shaped structure, very Coilbren in appearance, I've put. Now, please have a look at the Dendera Zodiac in colour, because all I can do, I thank goodness it's in Hugh's book, I'll try and point to it. Here are the fish with the water in between them, which is interesting enough, but if you look down here, you'll see a sign called the Abyss, which to my mind is so exciting and interesting. So yes, the link to have a proper look at the Dendera Zodiac is down below. It's what have I done with the Welsh thing? Here we are. Now the Coilbren glyph for the Welsh double L, pronounced through the side teeth, so to speak, looks like this, and this is horrendous, and I'm really sorry. Please go and find a Coilbren alphabet, and you will see what I mean. On this side is the wishbone for a single L, and here is the double L with a wishbone and another stroke. Now anybody is better at Coilbren than I am, and probably would be able to tell you why it looks like that. But this wishbone shape seems to be a fundamental structure in Coilbren alphabet, Proto-Phoenician, and all the early alphabets, Archaic Greek, Archaic Etruscan, and that bears out what Hugh Evans said about this sign being incredibly old. And I'll just show you the walking feet again, so you can compare it. This brings us to the twin pillars, which is also as above, so below, because it's thought one pillar represents earth energies coming up from below, and the other pillar represents what you might call heavenly energies, mental energies from heaven, for want of a better word, coming down from above. And where they meet is the connection, and it's the twin pillars are known to many people as a Masonic symbol, and also as the Greek letter pi. Anybody who knows Stonehenge, and most of us do know what it looks like, it's arranged in pies. And once again, I don't think it's a coincidence that pi is the dominant syllable of Pisces, itself meaning fish. They are supposed to represent, these twin pillars are supposed to represent Boaz, which means strength, and what I'm told by a Mason friend of mine is pronounced Jachin, Jachin, which means to establish. So you've got the strength of earth, which makes sense as earth has to bear, and the establishment, which is the organisational capacity of the mental realms. And they are the twin pillars, which we know from the Temple of Solomon. Again, there's a link below if you want to see these. 2 Chronicles 3:17 states that he, Solomon, reared up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand and the other on the left, and called the name of that on the right hand Jachin, and the name of that on the left Boaz. Which way round this is depends on which way one is looking, but Solomon's temple faced east, so someone at the point of entry will have Jachin on his right hand to the north and Boaz on his left to the south. I don't think I've got this the wrong way round, but that would mean that Jachin is the strength out of the north and Boaz is establishment out of the south. If I got that the wrong way round, somebody will no doubt tell me. To my mind, the twin pillars represent this strength of earth and the organisation of heaven, or the mental forces. They're called opposing forces, but I think a better word is complementary, the way the thumb is complementary to the fingers. Strength without organisation is just brute force, and organisation on its own is useless. The lintel that joins them is the spark of intellect or energy that jumps the gap and makes the connection. Pi is a magical number along with Phi, and they seem to be the organisers, while Ra, one of the original Egyptian gods, is the raw material. I'm really not making this up. This is the 4th time I've said this, I think. I don't think it's a coincidence that the word pillar has Pi and Ra at each end and the twin pillars in the middle. Pisces itself is the 12th number in the Fibonacci series, 144, and 144 is called the gross, which properly means not disgusting, which is it's taken to mean today, but complete and entire. In astrology, each succeeding sign takes with it the characteristic of the sign before, so Pisces, the gross, is the complete and entire zodiacal circuit from one spiral up to the next, both feet on the ground, in fact. If you've stayed with me, congratulations and thank you. And please, if I haven't said anything clearly, ask. And anyway, thank you very much for watching.